So, for some reason, every fourth Sunday of Easter, the lectionary leads us back to the 10th chapter of John. Every fourth Sunday of Easter is what I call Good Shepherd Sunday. And we go back through this chapter where, in various ways, Jesus says over and over again the most loving words, I am the Good Shepherd. I know my sheep. I know them by name, and I call them by name, and they follow me. And by day I lead them out to pastures of plenty, to the still waters. And by night I lead them back to the sheepfold and safely enclose them in it because I am the gate of the sheepfold also. I am the good shepherd. I came that they might have life and have it abundant. I lay down my life for the sheep, that they might live. I am the good shepherd. My sheep hear my voice and they follow. So sweet, right? So comforting, so poetic, so lofty. In fact, you wouldn't know it, but these are fighting words. This is actually a very decisive turn in Jesus' ministry, a tragic and dangerous turn in which he finally turns away from those who will not or cannot hear him and casts his lot for good with those who will. And please notice who they are, those who will hear him and follow him, those who have very little to lose, those who've been pushed so far to the margins of civic life and religious life that they have nothing to lose, so it's easier to get up and follow. Please note, if you believe the Gospels, the less you have to lose, the easier it is to up and follow Jesus. His sheep hear his voice, and it's not a safe and cozy, smarmy, convenient, Hallmark kind of love that he offers. It's a fierce, fearless, tough, all-in, go-the-limit love. And in that love, they know they are cherished, and they follow him. 5 times, John says it in this chapter alone. 5 times, my sheep hear my voice, and they follow. Which is John's way of asking, do you, dear reader, do you hear his voice and follow? It won't be easy. As you can see if you read on in John's gospel, it won't be easy to hear the voice of Jesus and follow. Teresa of Avila said, it is a greater trial to hear that voice than not to hear it, because it is so sweet, our souls cannot resist it. It's a greater trial to hear the voice than not, because of what it asks, which is everything. The voice of Jesus, the voice of our shepherd, asks of us only all that we have to give, having long since given his all for us. It can be hard to hear the shepherd's voice because it sounds so quietly underneath all the noise of our fears and our ego and the demands and promises of our culture. You have to listen deeply. It's so quiet. It can be hard to hear his voice because it most often speaks in the unknown rather than out of the safe, familiar, and comfortable. It can be hard to hear the shepherd's voice because it whispers softly from our deepest, darkest, most lonely times of anguish and pain. It can be hard to hear his voice because it hides. It hides sometimes in the most unlikely people, in the most unlikely times and places, because the shepherd wants to be longed for and yearned for and sought out. So that voice can be hiding sometimes. It's hard to hear. But if we want to hear it, if we want him more than anything else, and if we have the courage of love to listen deeply and to bravely follow, we will hear it. And here's how we'll know it's his voice. First of all, it will always lead us more deeply into the heart of God, where we remember, oh yes, I am God's beloved. I am the beloved. It will lead us always ever more deeply into our knowing ourselves as the beloved. It will never shame us. In John's first epistle, he says, if our hearts condemn us, God is greater than our hearts and knows everything. If our hearts condemn us, God is greater than our hearts and knows everything. Knows all that we've done, all that we've not done, all that we are and all that we are not, and loves us anyway, desperately, with a love that is truer and deeper than any accuser, within or without. The shepherd's only language is love. A hard love sometimes, an uncompromising, demanding, costly love, but always a rescuing, gathering, healing, beckoning love that begets more love. The way we know the shepherd's voice is, first of all, he calls us deeper home into the love of God. The second thing is that it always calls us more deeply to each other. It calls us into community so that we can build the beloved community in which the world may see God. It may be possible to be spiritual but not religious, but it isn't possible to be a disciple of Jesus out on your own. He calls us into community, which sometimes might be as perfect as that, early church in the beginning of Acts. That, you know what I'm talking about? They were all together and they shared everything they had, and they were together day and night and they prayed. It was a utopian church, and it lasted about a minute. As you'll see, that the quarrels set in pretty quickly. Church is messy. I don't need to tell you, church is messy. About as messy as a sheepfold full of obstinate, willful, smelly sheep. What makes it doable is forgiveness. Forgiveness, extreme forgiveness, radical forgiveness. Forgiveness asked for or not, deserved or not, returned or not. Amnesty all around. Deep, wide mercy, abundant forbearance. Forgiveness is our best gift to a world that tends to take to court, sue for damages, wage war, expel, exile, forsake, isolate, shun, or unfriend. Forgiveness opens us to the abundant life that can only be found in the community of disappointing, imperfect others. A community that Jesus adores and, go figure, chooses to live in and dwell amongst. He came to give us life abundant, but we will not have it unless we forgive from the heart. And third, we'll know it's his voice speaking because it will lead us together out into the world on search and rescue missions. You know, in this chapter where John says, or puts in the words in the mouth of Jesus, when the shepherd has brought them out, he leads them to pasture and to water. Brought them out. That sounds gentle enough, right? But the Greek word that's used here for brought out is actually more like shoving out. It is. Pulling, yanking, expelling, casting out, like he did with the money changers at the temple. It's the same Greek word. Today's church is going to need that vigorous pushing and pulling. 50 years ago, the world flocked to the church, and it was great, and we sang Onward Christian Soldiers every week, and the Sunday schools were full, and we just thought it was going to go on like that forever. And so we hunkered down into our traditions and rituals and doctrines and waited for people to find us. It didn't work. It didn't last, and it's nobody's fault. But what the church needs now is a venturing love and a missionary spirit to become what she was at the start. We do get to come back to all this companionship and healing and kindness and love and nourishment. But the shepherd's voice will always thrust us back out into the world, which he came and died for. My sheep hear my voice and they follow. I don't know what the shepherd might be saying to you this morning. Forgive, forgive again, forgive deeper, forgive yet again, try again, return, leave, speak up, be silent, love harder, follow your dream, let go. It's always let go. The shepherd's voice is always asking us to let go of something. What I do know is that your heart is so precisely tuned to the shepherd's heart that you will know. You will know. If you want to hear it and you listen deeply enough, you will always hear the shepherd's voice. And under what he calls you to do is a fierce love. And he will go with you every step of the way. And it will sound like good news, even if it's hard news. And if you follow it, it will lead you, though perhaps by rocky paths, to abundant life, as green as any green pasture. I don't know what he's saying to your heart, but I do know what he's saying to you as a people. This is my little speech. I was going to say because I have the microphone, but I don't, so I'm just going to have to make sure you can hear me. You are, as a people, so beautiful. I don't think you know that, or maybe you haven't known that, but I hope you do. I hope you will believe me. I know what I'm talking about. I've been around. I've seen a lot. Not as much as some of you, but I've seen a lot. You are beautiful, and all the lovely qualities that you have ascribed to me are really yours, or you wouldn't recognize them in anyone else. You are loving, you are brave, you have huge faith, you're fun, you sing your heart out, you stay in the struggle, you hold on to each other. And I believe with all my heart that you have everything you need to be and do all that God asks of you. And you have healed me and empowered me and affirmed me in ways that I could never have expected, in ways I feel certain I don't deserve, but I'm trying to take it in anyway. Because what you have done for me helps launch me into what's next, for sure. And I know this too, mostly by Kathy Daly's incredibly kind and generous words, that we belong to each other, and we always will, in a love that is like green pastures and cold, clear, cool, still waters. And so I thank you, and I offer you my greatest blessing and greatest hope. Thank you so much, and amen.
Amen.